Railways play a vital role in the transportation of goods and passengers in most parts of the world. Advanced countries have built state-of-the-art railway infrastructures which has remarkably reduced travelling time. Today we'll be talking about one of the most expensive railway systems that are being built in the desert. Presently, this ambitious project is under construction. The project is being undertaken in collaboration with the 6 wealthiest countries of the Middle East, which form the Gulf Cooperation Council. It's planned to stretch over 2,000 kilometers and enhance connectivity in the region. It'll connect major population centers in the region. Construction of railway track through vast desert and tunnels in the mountains makes it very challenging. Completion of this project will immensely improve the transportation sector, markedly reduce carbon footprint, and invigorate economic development. In 1981, leaders from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Oman gathered in Riyadh and formed a political and economic alliance, nowadays well known as the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC. Being rich in oil and gas reserves, the group has made enormous progress in the economy and resultantly have amassed a lot of wealth. GCC economy is mainly dependent on oil, facing a great shock when oil prices plummeted during the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. Increasing economic woes made the GCC leadership consider diversification of the economy. Communication would play a vital role in their development. For this purpose, the railway would be crucial to connect their ports with their manufacturing hubs and urban population centers. In 2009, leaders of GCC countries approved an ambitious railroad project that would link all member states. The cost of the project, estimated to be around $100 to $250 billion, would be borne by all the members. Its owners include the Government of Bahrain, Government of Kuwait, Etihad Rail, Oman Rail, Qatar Rail, and Saudi Railway Company. The project is planned to be made fully operational by 2023. The total length of the railway line is 2,177 kilometers or 1,353 miles. The operating speed for passenger trains is planned to be 220 kilometers an hour, whereas for freight trains it'll be 80 to 130 kilometers per hour. Each member state has to implement the portion of the project planned in its territorial boundaries. It'll include the construction of railway lines, branch lines, freight terminals and stations. The cost of the prospect is to be borne by the countries proportionately. The most expensive segments of the project, costing over $110 billion, include Saudi Arabia's Metro project and Etihad Railway. This 1,200-kilometer long segment will handle freight and passengers from the UAE to the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf. The project is being undertaken in 2 stages. In 2016, the first stage, spanning over 264 kilometers from the Habshan and Shah areas of Abu Dhabi to the port of Ruwais, commenced. People would be right in their perception that the Gulf states mostly comprise flat desert land, but they must not forget that in the northern parts of the UAE as well as Oman, they have quite rugged mountains that rise to the altitudes of about 3,000 meters. The rough terrain has made this project as equally challenging as it could have been in the Rocky Mountains in the USA. The hot climate has made this project pretty difficult to execute, as at places temperatures during the day become unbearable and work has to be done at night when temperatures may drop to around 30 degrees. Shifting sand makes the construction a very intricate affair. Etihad has benefited from the experience of other states like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, China and Mauritania, who have undertaken projects in a desert environment. These countries resorted to solutions like turning dunes into clay over several years, planting walls of trees to block wind and sand, as well as monitoring the shifting dunes. Etihad Railway has designed a locomotive equipped with a sand filtration system and a sand plough that helps in navigating in the desert. Construction work by Etihad Rail during the first stage included 20 overbridges, 2 underbridges, 10 road underpasses, and 18 minor underpasses. Etihad Rail built 2 factories that manufacture concrete railway sleepers from locally available material and use these to form the base of the railway tracks. Each sleeper weighs 340 kilograms and its length is 2.6 meters. These are used to stabilize the tracks and ensure that the train can smoothly travel at speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour in the case of passenger trains. Presently, the route is being used for transportation of up to 22,000 tons of granulated sulfur in 110 wagons every day. Granulated sulfur is produced from oil fields in Abu Dhabi, processed at the port of Ruwais for export. The element is used for manufacturing several products like batteries, fertilizers and fireworks, etc. By mid-2021, Etihad Rail had transported over 30 million tons of granulated sulfur for the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. Authorities say that a single train journey saved carbon emissions by 70 to 80% compared with what it would be if the same quantity of the element was to be transported by trucks. It is a remarkable achievement, particularly for a country having one of the biggest carbon footprints in the globe. UAE has benefited greatly from this railway system as it earned $679 million from the export of sulfur in 2019. Most of the sulfur was exported to China. The Gulf Railway project has not been sailing smoothly though. It encountered many different types of problems. Deteriorating oil and mineral prices during the last decade resulted in budget deficits of Gulf states, therefore financial constraints became the prime hindrance in the implementation of the project. GCC member states, being fully independent in their national decision-making, are not well integrated. Rather, they prefer and pursue their own agendas, which at times create a situation of intense competition. Accordingly, countries have accorded priority to their domestic train networks instead of the Gulf Railway. Some other concerns retarding the speed of work on this project are illegal immigration, competing for economic choices, and smuggling. The lack of implementation of the project in its territory by Saudi Arabia is also a major hurdle. Other countries like Oman and UAE have no incentive unless they get access to the markets of Saudi Arabia. The Gulf Rail project is planned to systematically link the main population hubs of the Middle East. It'll start from Kuwait City, pass through Dammam and Al Bafa Port in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi and Al Ain in the United Arab Emirates, enter Oman through Sohar and finally terminate at Muscat. Dammam will act as a centre for linking Bahrain through the proposed King Hamad Causeway and Qatar via Salwa Port. In Bahrain, 3 railway stations are planned to be constructed at Khalifa bin Salman Port, Bahrain International Airport and Amwaj Island. You may be interested to know the length of railway tracks in each member state. Kuwait will have 145 kilometres, 36 kilometres in Bahrain, 283 kilometres in Qatar, 663 kilometres in Saudi Arabia, 684 in the United Arab Emirates, and Oman will have 306 kilometres. In 2020, the second stage of the project commenced. The railway network will be extended by 605 kilometres starting from Guaifat on the east boundary of Saudi Arabia to the eastern coast of Fujairah. Designing and constructing of a 139 kilometres long track has been assigned to China State Construction Engineering Corporation and South Korea SK Engineering and Construction. Its total cost amounts to $408 million. On completion of this segment of the railway, it'll connect UAE's major industrial ports and trading centres. It'll facilitate the transportation of more than 50 million tonnes of goods annually. Saudi Arabia and UAE have enormous reserves of natural resources like gold, silver, iron ore and aluminium. Exploration and development of these resources will be immensely facilitated by the railway system. Even though Etihad Rail is making steady progress, some construction work at other places has not been going as per plan. Due to deteriorating relations between Qatar and Saudi Arabia, Qatar was alienated by the other GCC member states. The drastic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and depreciation in oil prices, it had led to the inadvertent delay in the completion of the project. The leaders of Gulf states have been ambitious and at times unrealistic, but their vision also varied to pragmatism. Etihad Rail has not yet announced when the railway will be made operational for passengers. Keeping in view the liking of the masses for their cars, it would be a gigantic task to convince them to travel on the train. A detailed survey conducted in UAE during 2020 indicated that more than 83% of residents used their cars, whereas just 13% used public transport. Leadership in GCC is focused on an economic sphere only and not much concentrated on convincing the population to use the most economical means of conveyance. Railway is expected to open more economic venues and generate more job opportunities for the people of the region. Both the major partners UAE and Saudi Arabia have developed rail study programs. During the last 3 decades, the economies of the GCC countries have grown exponentially, and the railway system will help in furthering the economic growth. Etihad Rail is a reflection of the strategic vision of leadership for building a more unified and connected Gulf region. The viability of the Gulf Railway will surely increase in future as people all over the world become more conscious and aware of environmental pollution and the immense demand for lowering carbon emissions, especially in the transport sector. Rail is one of the most energy-efficient means of travel. On average, trains emit approximately 10 times less carbon dioxide per passenger kilometre compared with planes, and 5 times less compared with cars. Urban transport specialist firm Alstom had worked on Dubai Metro, developed Dubai Tram, and also remained thoroughly involved in Stage 1 of Etihad Rail's signalling. Alstom's regional director Mama SOUGOUFARA believes that passenger train has an exciting future in the Gulf. UAE has committed to a carbon-neutral path, with a target to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. A short round trip from Dubai to Riyadh amounts to approximately 0.4 tons of carbon dioxide emissions, which is almost a quarter of personal emissions targets. Passenger travel is expected to expand, but not substantially at the scale of Europe. Probably the ambition of GCC connected by passenger trains may not be realized even for a decade. At present, the situation as far as the state of the project is concerned is not very healthy. GCC leadership has to show determination and activate resources for expediting work on the project in respective territories. At present, only UAE and Saudi Arabia have carried out some notable work. Leaders in the GCC countries also need to concentrate on initiating a cultural change among the masses who prefer cars and have no love lost for the train journey. The biggest challenge facing regional railway is largely cultural. Mr. Khalifa opines, whose Deutsche Bahn or DB consultancy has been heavily involved with maintenance and operation of Stage 1 of Etihad Rail in UAE. Deutsche Bahn has conducted feasibility studies on first and last mile transport options to reach stations. These include urban air mobility like a drone taxi or autonomous shuttle. DB also plans to innovate with stations of the future. Aspects will include digitalization like video conferencing ticket booths for making reservations or buying tickets 24 hours a day. We hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back soon with another amazing and informative video for you guys. Until then, have a great time.